Good morning and welcome to the Sunshine Summit. My name is Danielle Longato and I'm your host for the entire Sunshine Summit. I'm conducting this interview series because I want to reach as many people as possible to help them discover how to find joy, have abundance, and live your best life now. This morning, I am interviewing Estra Roell. She is a certified law of attraction life coach, certified life purpose coach, and an advanced Psych K facilitator for rapid belief change. She is a co-author of the books 101 Great Ways to Enhance Your Career and How to Create a Rich, Successful, and Fulfilling Life, Dynamic Tools for Overcoming Obstacles and Creating Rapid Transformation. Estra also offers workshops on happiness and unconditional love, and is the former host of Coach Cafe Radio and the Enlightened Woman radio show. Known as America's Life Purpose Coach, it is her passion to help people get in touch with their highest passions and purpose, replace self-sabotaging and subconscious beliefs with beliefs that are supportive of their conscious goals, and move into inspired action to create fulfilling lives of purpose and joy. I'm excited to interview this morning because I think Estra is going to bring such clarity to our summit and show us all how to find joy, have abundance, and live all of our best lives now. Welcome, Estra. What was it that got you motivated to want to help others learn and grow in living their personal best lives?
Well, actually, it was really my own journey to find my purpose that led me to helping others to do the same thing. And I felt like, I had been on purpose for many years. I was a lower elementary Montessori teacher. I did that for 20 years. And I truly believed that that was my purpose at that time. Mm-hmm. But what happened, and I'm not going to go into all the gory details, but a time came when that was actually no longer fulfilling for me. The situation actually had really dramatically changed. It changed with the change of administration of the school. And it became actually quite a toxic environment for me. And I was really, really unhappy. So I began seeking answers about what would fulfill me. And it was quite an amazing path and a series of events. But the end result was that I found my purpose in coaching others to discover their purpose and to utilize the law of attraction principles to create lives that they love. And I was so changed by my experience. I mean, it just opened me up in so many ways that I've been looking for really all my life, but had finally found that it's just really exciting for me to help other people feel that same excitement.
And so you, because I'm totally the same way. Like, I have joy when I'm helping others find that joy.
Yeah. It's thrilling,
it like, to me, it like, I could have everything in my life, but until I'm like connecting with people and helping them find their happiness, it's like there's something missing. So I totally resonate with that, and how, you were living the dream, it just wasn't yours anymore. And
that confused me a lot actually at the time, because I have been quite happy as a teacher. I knew I was touching lives. I still hear from students that were, little when I had them, but now they're, young adults and they're doing fabulous things in the world, and that's exciting too. But it just got to the point where I finally had to listen to what was going on inside me, that, I needed a change. And I waited long enough to make it really painful for
Oh no.
But I think that's what happens, that very often we experience pain and then find our way out so that we, in fact, are equipped to help others do it more easily. And I still consider myself really a teacher. That's my purpose, but it's just expressed differently than it was before.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people would benefit from understanding, that, very often we are doing our purpose, or we have a sense of it, but it just needs some tweaking. It just needs to be expressed differently from how you're doing it right now.
Yeah, and it's finding what does work for you and everyone else at that time, and it's how you're expressing it. So I think that's wonderful that you were able to find another way to express yourself. So good for you. And I believe totally that I think it was Picasso, his quote, "The meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away."
Give it away. Yes.
Yeah. And you're giving it away, just finding different ways.
Yes.
And so just for the audience, if they don't know what the whole law of attraction, if they missed the whole Eckhart Tolle Oprah series, do you want to just fill them in on what that law of attraction coaching is?
Yeah, well, of course, we're creators. I think that's the thing that people, we haven't been taught that. You're not taught that, hey, you know what? You are creating your life as you go through it. And so we have a tendency to feel like life is being done to us, when actually the opposite is true. We create with every thought and with every feeling. And what we create is what we put our attention and our focus and our energy on. And so we create by default, because we don't realize that, especially you might use, current events with the news. So many people are focused on what's going on politically right now. And I think, step back,
breathe.
Focus on what you would like to see. Focus on what you do want. Because the more we give energy and attention to the things that we don't want, we keep them active in our vibration. And so we really want to shift from that to figuring out, what is it that I do want? If I don't want that, what do I want? And putting all your energy, focus, and attention there. And so what I do with coaching is help people understand that. And then I work with them with processes that help them to do just that. And there's many, many, many different processes, as I'm sure you know, to help you do that.
Oh, that's awesome. And I totally agree with you. And one of my favorite other quotes is, worrying is like praying for something you don't want.
Exactly.
And so when you put that worry out there, that's what's going to come back to you. And
a lot of people think if you're not worrying, you're not, you don't understand the problem. I've heard that. It's like, no. And parents will do that with their children. They feel like they're not being a good parent if they're not worrying about them.
Yeah.
And, it's like, no, actually, these are individuals that have come through you, that have their own path, and you love them and you give them the best example you can, and then you let them do their thing. And as a parent myself, that was a big lesson for me.
I'm sure, because it's one thing to tell people how to do it, but then to actually do it yourself. I'm sure, that gave you more tools in order to help other people actually do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, on that note, what advice? I mean, I meet so many people on a daily basis that are just miserable. They're just, going through the motions of their mundane lives. And it's like they're just trying to get to the finish line. And, what would you say to these people of, how to have that wake up call, that first step of, living your life instead of just getting by?
Well, interestingly enough, there's a palliative care nurse named Bronnie Ware who interviewed, or just in talking with her patients who were dying, what were their top regrets? And the one that came up the most was that they wished they'd had the courage to live a life that was true to themselves and not the life that others expected of them. So to me, that was so interesting. There were other things like, I wish I hadn't worked so much, especially from men, because of the age that they were, that it was mostly men that went to work at that point in time. But, they hadn't worked so much, but they'd spend more time with their families, and they'd done things that were joyful to them. Right. Mm-hmm. So here are people at the end of their lives saying, here's what I regret. And there's nothing they can do about it at that point.
Yeah.
So my tip is to live authentically, to have the courage to do what you want to do. It's your life, and you're the only one who can live it. And I could really get on the soapbox about this because I see it so much that people do what others think they should do. When that should word comes up, run the other way, because it could be very well-meaning people that love you in your life, like your parents or your spouse, but it could also be, mass consciousness. There's ideas out there about what we should have accomplished by what time, in what order, in order to be successful or socially acceptable. And the idea is, you're not here to meet anybody else's expectations. You're here to live your own life, and you are the best authority on you. So find out what makes you happy and then do it. And along the way, you may have to learn how to say, very lovingly, no to people, right?
Yeah.
And understand that how they react to you suddenly saying no to them. No, thank you, is what I like to say. Oh, thank you for, asking me to do that, but no, thank you. I prefer not to. And they may, have a hard time adjusting to you doing that, but how they react is their responsibility, because we're all responsible for our own lives. Mm-hmm. So, if it feels good to say yes to somebody or to an opportunity or a situation, then say yes to it. But if it doesn't, say no, because you're not being selfish, right? And it starts, the description of the flight attendant on an airplane when they're talking about the oxygen mask. Uh-huh. And if you're traveling with children, put on your own mask
first. Yep.
Before you help them.
Yep.
Yeah, because if you're passed out, you can't help anybody.
Right, exactly.
So, if you're not taking care of you, then you don't have anything left, to give to anybody else. So It's not a selfish thing to say no.
Yeah. And that's a process. Most people don't wake up one day and start, especially moms, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you agree that most moms put themselves completely last?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
and so, what, like in your coaching, what is it something that you ask them to just start being aware of what they're doing? Is it a consciousness, just that awareness first? Or, what is it that helps make that transformation?
Well, awareness is definitely the first step, because so often we live our lives with blinders on, and we don't listen. I had my own experiences of not listening to that higher voice within me, and getting really, really sick as a result. So awareness is definitely a first step. And from there, I encourage people to do things like, since we all have our devices these days, we may as well make good use of them, and set a nice little timer, a nice pretty little, you've got all the different sounds to choose from, set a nice little gong or something every hour and check in with yourself.
Oh, I like that.
And, how are you feeling right now? Is your stomach tight? Do you have a headache? Are you breathing? Right? Because don't you notice when you're stressed, you start holding your breath? I know, I do. I catch that. And take that moment to do whatever you need to do, whether it's, just sit and breathe deeply for a minute, whether it's to rehydrate your body. A lot of times people have headaches and really stress their bodies out simply by not being hydrated. Drink water. In fact, I just actually read something recently where, your brain is 85% water. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing you need to do in the morning is drink, 12 to 16 ounces of water to be able to feel good in your day and to think. So it could be you need to hydrate. It could be you need to just move your body in some way. It could be you just need to take a little 5-minute silent time out. And I know, mothers might be going, yeah, right.
Yeah. Right in the middle of the chaos. Please give me 5 minutes. Yeah.
As a teacher, I was a teacher for all those years, and, in a classroom full of 6, 7, and 8-year-olds, and like, you had to keep your eye on those kids.
Right. Yeah. Never mind 5 minutes of silence. I mean, just being able to take the time to use the restroom is very difficult.
Yeah, that was often an issue for me. Yes. I did have an assistant, and I would just kind of give her we were going to be very good with each other, and I kind of give her a look, and she'd go, yeah, got it. And I'd retreat to my office. Breathe, for maybe a minute, 1 minute, yeah. And then back out. And so that's what, even a mother in the midst of the chaos can notice are you holding your breath?
Mm-hmm.
If you if even as you're dealing with things, if you're more aware of breathing, it reduces stress. It acts, our brains are these chemical factories, and you can reduce stress simply by drawing in breath. I mean, that's why we call it respiration. It's taking in spirit. And, and some beliefs are, that there's prana in the air and so on, but whatever it is, it works. You just breathe deeply. Even in the midst of the chaos, you're going to be more centered and able to deal with it. So maybe you don't fly off the handle and start screaming at your kids, but another way of dealing with the situation will come up for you, things like that. And actually being a great parent, by the way, is the purpose that some people have in their life, at least for that time. Sometimes we think that purpose is about the money that we make, and it absolutely can be about our work. And most often when people come to me, it's about their work. But it's not always about work. And I've had clients that have realized that. So, it could be very much that your children and your family are your purpose, and bringing that joy to yourself around that and bringing that joy to them can work out as your purpose, if that's what is most important to you at that time.
Yeah. And, back to the people at the end of their lives and their biggest regrets, I'm sure a lot of them, nobody ever said, I wish I worked more.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's something huge for everyone to be conscious and present when they're going through it. And I know as a parent of a toddler or an infant where you're not sleeping, it's very difficult to be in that present moment.
And that's where you have to take care of yourself and say, maybe I need some help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Call in your mom if you have that kind of relationship, or a friend, and say, you know what, if you could just sleep here tonight.
Right.
And you be the one to get up.
Yeah.
If you're nursing, that might not be an option, but I tell you what, I learned how to nurse lying down.
Yeah. And they have those great pillows too.
Yeah. And so there's ways you want to let your mind be open to creative solutions. And not to box yourself in and think, well, this is just how it is.
Right. And I mean, with the law of attraction, it seems that you can present an issue or a problem or a challenge to the universe and then let it go. And the universe will provide the answers. And it could be something that you weren't even expecting. And being open to saying, oh, well, yeah, that'll work too. Or, oh, that approach is good. I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I've had that happen so many times. Ideas just pop into my head. And one of the things that I really like to teach people to do is something called What If Up.
What if up?
Yes, and
Okay.
because so often what we do is what if down. Oh, what if this goes wrong? What if I don't have enough money? What if, I get fired? What if I don't get the job? What if, okay, all the, what if I get stuck in traffic? What if I'm late? What if all the horrible things that could happen is what runs through our minds. So what if up is saying, what if everything went right?
Yeah.
What if this was a whole lot easier than I expected? What if I did get the job? What if I nailed that interview? What if my kids all got along today?
Right.
What if, so you start thinking, and I have had, okay, one real quick story. It's a very kind of mundane thing. My dryer broke.
Okay.
There I was with all these wet clothes after drying and drying and drying. And I'm like, okay, no, I don't want this to be my reality. I really, really don't want this to be happening right now. And my first thought, okay, because I'm human too, right? Even knowing what I know, my first thought was, now I'm going to have to go get a new dryer. And this is an expense I wasn't counting on. And just freaking out about it. And then all of a sudden I stopped myself and I thought, wait, what if this could be easy? What if there was a really easy solution? And I walked away from the dryer for like 30 seconds, and all of a sudden it popped into my head, I think I know where the manual is for this dryer.
Wow.
And I went right to it. It was right there. I started looking through it. And I went to my husband, who's better at this stuff than I am. And I said, the dryer isn't working. And here's the manual. And he is pretty good. And he got right on it. Long story short, it ended up to be an $8 part that we ordered online that night. It came like the next day, and my husband installed it, and the dryer works fine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So that's just having that shift in consciousness and allowing it in. What if it could be easy? Was all that it took. And the ideas started to flow.
And that's amazing, because you're right. Everyone goes to the negative, and then it snowballs. And now it's ruined their day. And it's like they're walking around with that rain cloud over them. And instead, you are like the Jimmy Dean sausage lady, where you have that sunshine above you. Because you were able to shift your consciousness. And, if it happens with your dryer, it can happen with everything.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's actually how I got to where I am right now, because I started asking questions. My life got to the point where, I got sick. I was in the hospital. That's how much I was not listening to the voices in my, well, not the voices in my head, which sounds a little crazy, but that those little thoughts that you have about, something's got to change here. I have become very negative. I've become a complainer. I was totally stressed out. I was scaring myself about how negative I had become. And that was kind of my wake up call was, oh my gosh, I had like that one more nasty thought about my boss. And I went, I don't want to be this person, And I didn't know what to do, though. I had no idea. It's like, how do I change this? And basically the question I asked myself was, okay, I said, you know what, this can't be how my life is supposed to be. And I know there's got to be a way out, but I don't know the way out. But there's got to be a way out. And it's like, well, all right. I kind of looked up, even before I really knew what I was doing. I said, just show me the way out. And I was kind of aggravated, actually. I was like, just tell me what to do, And the funny thing was that I looked down at my bookshelves, and my husband had been on this project. He got new bookshelves, and he'd been on this about getting all the books that were languishing in our basement and bringing them up and putting them on the bookshelves. And I looked at my bookshelves as soon as I asked that question, and there was this little book on my shelf called The Way Out.
No way.
Oh. And it was like, oh my God. And that was really fast.
You're like a good neighbor, stay farm.
And And, this book was in a bunch of books that had been given to me like years ago. I happened to walk into a bookstore just as the person was clearing out inventory and said, "Hey, do you want these books?" And I'm never one to throw out a book. So I said, "Yeah, sure." So I took them, but I had never read this book. And so there it was when I needed it.
Yeah.
And the weird thing was, I must have been asking in some way because my husband had already brought it up from the basement, I guess. I mean, I don't know. But, but anyway, I read it. And because, how could I not read it?
Right.
And the thing was, too, the author was anonymous. I said, it doesn't matter who I am, just. And the basic message for this book was, you need to listen to your higher self and stop letting your personality run the show, because you're reading this book, so it's not really working too well for you, is it? And I said, that's great. I resonated with that. And then I thought, wait, how do I do that?
Yeah, right. Like, okay, where's the how-to manual now?
Exactly. I literally went through the book again going, they gotta tell me how somewhere in here. And there was nothing. And there was no author. I couldn't follow up. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to put it out there. Universe, how do I do this? Yeah. And that started a whole series of questions and answers. I would have dreams and wake up with answers in my head and processes to do by asking and just being gentle about it, not being desperate. I think that's the thing too, because the earth plane is a very slow note, and we have chosen it so that we can experience the material world. And I hope that doesn't sound too weird for people, but that's my understanding of it. And so there's this buffer of time that, we talk about law of attraction, right? Because what you're experiencing right now is a result of your thinking from 2-3 months ago.
Right.
And so when you want to shift your thinking, there's going to be a buffer of time where you're still going to be living out what you've created from before. But as you shift, you start creating something new for your future. So just, don't be constantly looking over your shoulder. Where is it? Where are my answers? Where's my stuff? And so I somehow I knew just to be gentle about it, because I didn't know what else to do. And so I just kept asking the questions, but it was amazing to me that I got the answers. That was new.
They came.
Yeah. And one thing just led to another until I ended up where I am right now. So, so ask the questions that you want the answers to.
Well, and my philosophy too is, what harm is it going to bring for you to ask the universe for what you want?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know? I mean,
but I think people are so trained to think, it's better to give than receive, which is not true, because giving and receiving is an energy exchange that has to be completed. Correct. So and if nobody's receiving, how can anybody be giving?
Right.
So opening up to be receiving, to be receptive to what the universe is trying to give you,
right,
is something that we're not taught to do as children. But now we can learn to do that. But and it doesn't do any harm to ask for what you want.
Right, exactly. And my philosophy on the universe is, the universe will provide, but there's not a timeline. The universe will provide when the universe is ready. And
when we're ready to receive it too.
Exactly.
I mean, there, it could be that there's things that we need to live out in our lives and experience before we're actually ready to receive the thing that we want.
Right.
And so understand that the process is actually happening, whether you're aware of it or not.
Right, exactly. And it's amazing. And as people are getting those aha moments and continuing on their paths, like you said, you've gotten to the point where you are now, but you're not done. I mean,
oh no, absolutely not.
Right. And it's like, you're so grateful for the experience and for what the universe has provided. And every day there's so much gratitude, and you continue on that path because you're grateful. And
you make a really good point there, because we have to be present to the good things in our lives and
Always.
to the beauty that's around us, and be in that state of appreciation. And even if you're not sure how you're going to pay your rent, or, whatever's going on in your life, you just broke up with the person you thought was the love of your life, or, whatever's going on, yeah, feel your feelings, absolutely, because by acknowledging them, we move more quickly through them. They have something to teach us and to show us. But also be aware of what's actually working for you. What was the higher purpose of that relationship, say, that you just had the breakup over? It could be that the higher purpose of that relationship was fulfilled, and it was time for you to let go. Or it could be that, you're learning about how to be more centered within yourself, so that when the next relationship comes along, you're ready for it. And you're not depending on somebody else to make you happy, kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah, we need to be able to receive, and we need to be able to let go when the essence has gone out of that thing, whether it's a material object or a relationship or a situation. And our bodies have a tendency to talk to us when we don't.
Right. Yes, exactly. And sometimes situations present themselves because we do get comfortable in our comfort zone, and change is scary. And, and so when the universe makes that change for us,
Right.
and forces us into it, 100% of the time you're like, oh my gosh, I should have done this earlier, or,
Yes.
and so if you can't make the change, sometimes you're pushed into it, and you have to find the positivity in those changes.
Right.
Yes.
Those are the more painful ways to do it. But once we get an understanding of what's going on, then we're empowered to pay more attention and to be more aware, and to be able to make those changes on the path of joy rather than on the path of struggle.
Exactly. Yes. And then they just come easier and easier and easier, because it's how we're responding to them. And we're not responding or reacting. We're, responding, and we're allowed to let the negative things just roll over us and say, okay, I got this. And and I love,
because they are going to come up. The challenges will always come up, because that just helps us refine what we want. It helps us, gain self-confidence and courage, and to know that these are just, we've got it. We can handle this. And with that attitude, it passes, as you say, so much more quickly.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. And in sharing the abundance, I see that you are sharing with us a wonderful report, Visioning Your Purpose and Heading Toward It Today. Tools you need to uncover your passions and create your purposeful life. So, oh my gosh, thank you so much for providing that for all the listeners today. And is this something that you've worked on over time, and with your experience created this report?
Yeah, I've put that together. It's not just a report that you read, so I want to make sure people understand that.
Okay.
There are exercises to do, and so you get the most benefit from doing the exercises. And allow yourself, honor yourself enough to take a half an hour away in a quiet spot where you won't be disturbed, and give yourself that time to put pen to paper and really think through these exercises.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, Estra, thank you so much for the report. I can't wait to do my exercises. And I want to thank all the listeners today. I hope you all enjoyed and got something wonderful out of this interview. And I hope you look forward to some of the other interviews we have planned for the Sunshine Summit. And if something resonates with you, please let us know. Facebook me, Instagram me, let me know. And thank you, and goodbye to everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye, Danielle.